What's up, y'all? My name is Devin, the DIY lawn coach. Hope you're having a great day. Hope things are going well for you. Well, I've got a little bit of a problem. I've got some Poa Triv hanging out behind me. So I thought I'd bring you guys in, show you what that looks like. I'm gonna show you guys the difference between Poa Triv and Poa Annua so we can clear up any of that confusion. Then we're gonna talk about what I'm gonna do about it. It is the middle of November, so my options are very limited, but we do have an option. Let's talk about it. All right, so before we get started, let's talk about what Poa Annua is and kind of help you guys determine the difference between Poa Annua and Poa Triv. So what I have here is some Poa Annua. Now, this is kind of a little disclaimer here. It is the middle of November right now. And so this Poa Annua is very immature. Ideally, Poa Annua germinates in the fall. Once soil temperatures reach about 70 degrees, as they're falling in the summertime towards 70, the Poa Annua seeds, as you can see right here, hopefully, I don't know if you guys can see that. So again, this is a very immature plant. Let's see if you can see that. I'll take a picture of it with my phone too so you can see it. But this crop, this is an annual. So that means that it germinates every year. It has a whole life cycle that it does, and it germinates in the fall, stays alive all through winter, and then in the springtime, it does a flush growth. It'll grow out of control, and you'll see these little white seed heads absolutely everywhere. And this is what people kind of freak out about. And then once the heat, once it gets hot, this plant will die. These little seeds will lay on the ground. They'll germinate in the fall, and that cycle will start all over again. Now, Poa Triv, on the other hand, while it sounds similar, it is completely different. It has a whole different life cycle. Poa Triv is a perennial. So that means that it doesn't have the same life cycle like an annual does. It stays alive all summer. Now, you might think it dies because in the summertime, when it gets really stressful, it will turn brown, it'll lay over and mat down, and it is awful and it's ugly. So let's bring the camera in. I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like in my lawn, and then we'll talk about what we're gonna do about it. All right, guys, so we are over here in my side yard, and if you see this lime green patch right in here, this right here is Poa Triv. Now, it's kind of in a little bit of a ditch area, which is exactly what Poa Triv likes to grow in. It really likes wet environments, and so because we're kind of in this ditch area, it seems to thrive right here. So how did it get here? This is a perennial, so it doesn't grow via seeds. Well, I guess if the plant got mature enough, it would produce a seed. But it grows typically underground via stolons, kind of like Bermuda grass. And it probably got here maybe with some tainted topsoil or, maybe birds, that kind of thing. That's how it'll get transplanted. And then it grows outward, just like we talk about Bermuda grass does. So the one thing when we look at this, let's show you guys this. I'm gonna pull this up so you guys can see it. A very shallow root structure comes up and it pulls up really easy. When it comes to how we're gonna get rid of it, we have a couple different options. Now, because of the time of the year that we're in, my options, as I mentioned, are very limited. I can dig this out, okay? I can dig out this whole area, smooth it out, put down more grass seed, and hope for the grass to come up. But we're a little late in the year for that. So unfortunately, that's not really an option. The other option is to use a glyphosate or a non-selective herbicide, and that is the best thing to do for getting rid of this. Poa Triv grows underground, and so the chances of me being able to dig out all of this and get 100% of it are slim to none. But if I were to mark this area, spray it with a non-selective, and kill it all the way down to the root, the chances of my success are much higher. Again, putting ground grass seed this time of year. It's so late in the year. Unfortunately, there's not anything that I can do about it this year. I'm just gonna have to make a mental note of this going into spring and hopefully be able to take care of this next spring. My third option, which is to use a non-selective and then replace this with just some sod just to kind of fill this in. Unfortunately, I've got to just kind of leave this here, let it be, let it do its thing, but it is just so nasty. This is awful. It's got this lime green color, and you can very easily spot it when it's growing your lawn because it grows so much faster than the rest of your surrounding turf, and it looks terrible. And then what happens is in the summertime, it'll lay over. This will just mat down and just choke out any grass surrounding it. And then in the summertime, as late fall, it will, kind of revive itself, and then that patch will grow bigger. This patch probably started out as something like this and was probably not noticeable until it got this big. But yeah, look at this. This is awful. So just a reminder, we don't want to pull up Poa Triv. It could potentially spread. Then when you put your new grass seed down, it's going to come back year after year. Trust me, I've done it. You have to use a non-selective. And typically with non-selectives, the temperature has to be pretty high. So temperatures above 70 degrees. Otherwise, it just moves so slow throughout the plant. The plant's not going to absorb it. So digging it out is not an option. Using a non-selective is not an option just because of the time of the year and the weather. Plus, we're so late in the year, the chances of that seed coming up before it gets washed out. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do about it. Just gonna have to let it go through the year, through the winter, and then catch it in the springtime. Spray that with a non-selective and then get some grass seed on it. So hope you guys found the video interesting. Make sure you give it a like. Consider subscribing to the channel if you found this helpful in any way. That's the difference between Poa Annua and Poa Triv. My name's Devin. I'm the DIY lawn coach. Thank you so much for checking out the video. I'll see you guys later. Peace.